Hey everyone, we are the Hiking Fools. I'm Josh.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are bringing you unique personal insight on Glacier National Park that you can't get anywhere else. Today we are talking about the Rover Cabin, which is up in the northwestern part of the park.
Yeah, it's one of the easiest accessible Forest Service cabins you can rent. There's quite a few up there, 12, maybe 14, something like that around there. Some of them you have to hike in, snowshoe or ski in, depending on the season. This one you can drive right up. It's in a great part of the North Fork area.
That's right. The river runs right through it, and there's a great space to relax and have a fire and throw up a hammock. You know, watch those regulations. You want to be respectful to the flora and fauna, but when you're out there, you'll see a little bit of both.
If you want to go off grid a little bit, but also have some comforts of home, rent a Forest Service cabin.
That's a good point. Yeah, we've been there for 8 years in a row now?
Plus or minus.
Thanks to our friends. You know, you've got to reserve this place 6 months in advance.
It's difficult. It fills up quick. It's the most popular Forest Service cabin to rent.
That's right. 8 a.m., 6 months ahead of time. You've got to reserve this cabin, and then you just get to look forward to it patiently for that long.
How do you reserve it?
Recreation.gov is the best place to do all of this, and that's an app that we use. It's super easy. Just download it, and you can explore. You can reserve things. It holds all of your reservations. Recreation.gov is the only place to do this. So the Rover Cabin, not technically in Glacier National Park, but it's interesting because it's right on the boundary. The river is the boundary of the park. So if you're planning to fish, for example, you need to fish from the other side.
It's free. Fishing in the park is free. You do have to research a little bit, where can I fish and can't fish, because not all bodies of water are fishable in Glacier National Park. Some of them are protected.
And remember, she's right, restrictions do apply. There's certain type of lures you can use, certain type of fish that you cannot keep, and free, and it's usually fairly fruitful, but you'll have to check the fishing regulations each year to make sure you're within guidelines.
But crossing the river can be a little bit treacherous depending on the season. We usually go in early spring, April, maybe the beginning of May, and the water is pretty high and it's fast moving. So be careful if you enter the water and you decide to fish. But there's lots more to do besides fishing at this Rover Cabin.
You're right. The river is usually rushing and gushing in the spring. And if you're in April, you can beat our record. April 30th, we jumped in. The North Fork is icy cold. It's glacial melt. Don't mess around. I mean, be safe. But hey, April 30th, if you can beat that, let us know. And what else is there? An entrance to the park?
Yeah, the Rover Cabin is positioned smack dab in the middle of the Pole Bridge kind of village area. There's a mercantile. They've got a saloon. You got cabins to rent. On the other side, you have the North Fork entrance that gets you to two kind of remote places. We got the Kintla Lake entrance. It's quite the drive on a dirt road. And we also got the Bowman Lake entrance, which takes you up to a beautiful spot. There's a campground up there in both places, actually. And when the inner North Fork Road is open, you can drive that as well and find some other hikes. So there's lots to do when you stay at the Rover Cabin, depending on the season.
Yeah, you can drive right through the entrance. The road splits, left Kintla, right Bowman. And this place is regulated because there's not a lot of space in there. Sometimes like a one-lane road. You just have to be considerate of other drivers. And boy, the wildlife up there, I mean, there are elk herds.
We usually see a lot of elk, but the drive up there from Columbia Falls is about 35 miles north of that prominent town of Columbia Falls. You can, if the road is open, the Camas Road, you can go in at the west entrance and kind of shave off some of that rough road. They don't make it easy for you to get up there. And once you get up there, you understand why. It's a quaint little town that you want to keep a secret.
It's one of those drives that it's 35 miles. It takes about 2 hours, thereabouts. And I actually talked to a local recently, and I asked her, she lives up there. I said, what do you think about paving the road? Because we know that's been in the news. And what about the local residents? What do they think about that? Of course, it's easier access for us, but what's the perspective? She said no. She said she's not into it, and that seems to be the prevalent attitude, and we get that. You know, the folks up in the North Fork, they've removed themselves into the wilderness for a reason. They enjoy it. They love it. Things change. Things always change, but they say no to the paving of the road, so you're just going to have to deal with the potholes. Now, Sarah, you mentioned the Pole Bridge Mercantile, so what's that all about?
Oh, what a cute little place. There's a lot of history there. We can go back to the beginning, actually. It was first built by Bill Adair back in 1912. He lived in what's now the the Northern Lights Saloon right next door, but that was his home, and he lived there and he farmed. It wasn't, right now it's a bakery. It wasn't in the beginning. It was kind of a resupply store. People, the few people that lived up in the North Fork, they wanted to be left alone, and they came here to resupply instead of coming all the way to town. And in 1936, they added a post office, but in 2001, they closed that. So the bakery was added in 1994, and it's kind of a legend.
It absolutely is a legend. Supplies, blah, blah, lead me to the pastry. If you live around here, you understand Polebridge Mercantile. What they, the cookies and the Huckleberry Bear Claw is simply the thing to have.
What I really love is the smell. The smell comes out of the swinging, creaking, screen door. You walk in and the creaky floors. You can see that this whole area, it's very historic and it shows.
And we're discussing the Polebridge Mercantile because you can walk there from the Ben Rover Cabin. It's down a dusty road to Carb Heaven.
Well, it's no longer dusty now because they paved it, so that's even better. Another interesting thing is that Bill Adair, he planted the one and only elm tree in all of the North Fork, and it's right there next to the saloon.
Remember that guy we worked with in the park? Bob, I think was his name. What a character. Love him. And he plays at that Northern Lights Saloon. His accordion, right?
Yes, all summer long. You can find live concerts right there outside the saloon. They've got a little playground for the kids. You can listen to live music. The mountainscape is absolutely spectacular. So who was Ben Rover? He actually was tied into the Mercantile.
I guess it's a guy's name. I guess it's named after somebody.
Yeah, as a lot of things in the park, as we've learned, are named after people. Him and his wife, they moved to Polebridge and bought it right after World War II. They lived there for a short amount of time, and they also lived in the Northern Lights Saloon, which it was a house at the time. Yeah, Ben and his wife lived in the home next to the Mercantile. They were farmers. They came out here to farm. They had horses and cows. They milked the cows and sold it at the Mercantile, which was pretty cool. And when you go up there, you can see a lot of these same structures around. They're all in the historic registry. They have cows and horses up there now.
And what about the wildlife? This is a unique place in the world with the type of wildlife that is there. We have apex predators, you call them?
Yeah, we got 3 big apex predators living up in the North Fork. One of the few places where that exists. We've got mountain lion, we got bear, we got wolves.
That's incredible. And also, watch out.
Okay, well, just, make sure you carry bear spray at all seasons. They do have some grizzlies that don't hibernate up in the North Fork, and they kind of benefit from mountain lions making kills that draw in the wolves that essentially scare off the bears and they come in, or vice versa. So make sure you carry bear spray because there's lots to do, even in the winter if you stay at the Ben Rover Cabin. You've got a fireplace in there to keep yourself warm. You can cross-country ski the road towards Bowman Lake or Kintla Lake, and usually you see elk doing that. You've got a couple of historic structures to view. We've got some personal homes up there towards Kintla Lake.
You got it, Sarah. She keeps me safe, folks.
To finish up the history of the place, the Ben Rover Cabin, it was built in 1955.
70 years. 70 years.
Yes, it's been around a long time. Ben Rover himself moved there, built it, moved there, and lived there for a long time. The Flathead National Forest purchased it in 1990, and now you can rent it. How many people does it sleep?
Up to 8, I think, 8 or 10 folks. And so you can get a couple of families in there. We've taken our kids, and boy, they love running around in that wild area.
It runs on propane, so you got propane lighting, you got a propane stove. Bring your own water. There is a pump, but the pump handle isn't always on at all seasons, so make sure you bring plenty of water up there in the middle of nowhere. Bring a filter. You can filter from the river.
Great advice, Sarah. We are the Hiking Fools. Stick with us to talk more about the Ben Rover Cabin.
Ranger Station.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to report a bear sighting, as in Smokey Bear. We were about to head home after a bonfire, and Smokey said the fire wasn't actually out. He said if it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave.
Did you know that 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans?
No kidding.
I'm a forest ranger. We never kid.
Sorry.
Kidding. Get your Smokey on. If you see someone in danger of starting a wildfire, step in and make a difference. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. Learn more at smokeybear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back to the Hiking Fools. I'm Josh.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we are talking about the Ben Rover Cabin, a great place to stay just outside of Glacier National Park, provides a great entry point for the northwest portion of the park. So we've been there, we've stayed there plenty of times, and we got some great stories, obviously. Sarah, tell them about the albino deer.
Oh, yeah. You weren't able to join us on that outing. We usually go with a group of friends. They also have children around our kids' age, and they just have a great time. But one of the mistakes we make is stoking that fireplace inside a little too hot. We kind of joke about being in a sweat lodge and happened to be looking out the window, and we weren't sure if we were hallucinating or not. Nothing else was going on, everybody. We saw an albino deer. I can't say I've ever seen one in my life.
Well, and I still doubt that you did.
And once we exited the cabin in the fresh, cool air, we realized, yes, indeed, this is a albino deer.
The story was corroborated by even children, so I think it's legit. An albino deer in the North Fork. Add that to the list of the apex predators, and you're in a pretty unique area.
We've seen fox, we've seen black bear, we got a couple of substantial wolf packs located up in the North Fork where we have heard howling.
Absolutely, yeah. That night, it was a full moon is the way we'll tell the story, but the wolves were howling. We saw the black bear with a couple of cubs over on the other side. The other side of the river, it cuts out the bank, and there's a forest leading right up to the edge, and wildlife comes out of there. And
we've seen bear right there close to the cabin as well. So again, make sure if you got young kids, keep them close and have bear spray around. Tell them what to do if you see one.
It's not going to make the difference, but our kids like to bring some toys, a frisbee, a hammock, but also sometimes their bow and arrow. So the Ben Rover Cabin is just on the edge of the park. It sits on the border of the park, and you need to plan for a few things. Number one, the Glacier National Park pass. You've got to be able to get through the entrance. You also got to reserve the cabins, as we mentioned, 6 months in advance. It's a rolling schedule, 8 a.m. You've got to be on recreation.gov to get that reservation. It's not terribly expensive, $50 or $60, something like that. And so it's open to anybody. You split that with some friends. It's not a big deal, but you got to reserve it well in advance. In addition, a vehicle entry ticket is required in that area. It seems like a remote entrance to the park, but there's just not a lot of places to go from there. As we mentioned, it forks after the entrance. You can go to Kintla Lake or Bowman Lake, and they're beautiful places, but they're remote, and there's not a lot of space.
You need a national park pass at all the entrances all the time, but the entry ticket, that comes into effect. Do you remember when?
Yeah, it's usually mid-June through early September, depending on some conditions, but they're trying it out. You know, truthfully, I like the entry ticket because it regulates the flow of traffic through the park. It's another, it could be viewed as a hassle, but it's another method, and I think they've done a great job of tweaking it each year to make sure everybody can have a great experience in Glacier National Park. It's a great cabin, and it's relatively stocked. I mean, it's ready for you to stay. There's a shed outside with firewood, and you can replace that as you use it inside for the next visitor out of consideration that somebody's probably coming right after you. I don't think this cabin goes, unused for very long,
I think it's booked all year. How about the inside? We've got, I believe there's 4 bedrooms. 2 of them are full-size beds. The other bedroom has 2 single beds, and then we also have another room with single bunk beds. You have to bring all your bedding and make sure all the food and water you bring. Food is in sealed totes. It's a Forest Service cabin. It's old. There can be mice. You want to keep stuff sealed up. You want to keep it clean, and you are responsible to clean the cabin before checking out.
Yeah, beware of the critters. We've had a few stories, but we'll leave those to the imagination. You know what I love is there's a bunch of literature up there. There's some stories about the cabin. I believe some historical books about Glacier National Park. And there are also some great maps of the area. So if you want to head out on a little hike anywhere around that road or that area, you'll have some resources right in the Ben Rover Cabin.
There is a log in the cabin, so make sure you write down your experience staying at the Ben Rover Cabin.
Yeah, that's always fun. So again, it takes some effort. You've got to reserve the 6 months in advance. It's not cost prohibitive, so it's really just planning that takes. And it's a little drive up there. There's potholes, a little bit of dust, but don't worry about it. You can make it. It's worth the stay. And there's plenty to do outside in the winter. Remember, it's seasonal. This is open all year. So you can ski. You can bring your cross-country skis and ski some of these roads. And the time we skied to Bowman Lake, we saw a coyote right in the trail.
We saw a lot of tracks.
Absolutely. Yeah, Sarah's telling me, well, this is a mountain lion track, and I'm saying, well, let's get the heck out of here. But there's another thing that's a fun thing that people might not consider.
Well, not only in the wintertime is there fun stuff to do going up into Glacier, but once the snow has melted and it's not open to vehicle traffic, they're both dirt roads, but you can take your mountain bike and bike towards Kintla Lake. You can bike into Bowman Lake and see wildlife. Make sure you bring water and food and bug spray, sunscreen, bear spray.
Yep, those are the things you'll need to enjoy a stay at the Ben Rover Cabin.
In fact, we did that this spring. We were there early enough to where the vehicles weren't allowed in and late enough to where the snow had melted. And we took our families and our children and we biked on the dirt road along the creek there. And we saw beaver, we saw river otter, and it was warm. It's relatively flat if you go towards Kintla Lake. It's a little hilly if you go towards Bowman Lake. But the views are spectacular.
Yes, we had a great chat with the park rangers up there. They're great personalities and interesting characters to spend their time up in that area. In fact, the ranger we talked to said he'd worked a long time to be placed in this area, and he was loving it. Be sure to tune in next time and hear more about our adventures in Glacier National Park. I'm Josh.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are the Hiking Fools, encouraging you to always go